I'm Kamerie Gibson. Welcome to the Kamerie Gibson Show, the podcast. I believe that one of the most precious gifts you can share with someone is your story. Pain has purpose and stories can change lives. Your journey to become more inspired and transformed by the lives of those around us starts now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kamerie Gibson Show, where we talk about transforming our pain into power. And today I have a special guest with me here today. His name is Gary Daniels. Gary, if you don't mind introducing yourself to the audience for me, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Daniels. It's nice to be on this space.
Okay, Gary, so who are you? What are you up to right now? Where are you from? All that good stuff.
Who am I? Where am I from? What am I up to? Well, I'm 30 years old. I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I currently live in Long Beach, the place I was born. And I do plan to be moving back to Los Angeles in a couple of months. Right now, I work for a labor union where I basically run a statewide student activist organization. And I'll be starting a master's degree in Pan African Studies in August at CSULA.
Okay, so for those who don't know what a CSU, a labor union is, break it down for us so we can have a better understanding about the importance of the work you're doing.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so not everybody may know what a CSU is, what a labor union is. So what does that mean? What does all that stuff mean?
All right. So CSULA stands for Cal State University Los Angeles. The California State University is part of the state of California's three-tier higher education system. You could say that the CSU was kind of in the middle of that tier. It's the largest public university system in the country, serves, I think, over 450,000 students. And the CSU system is a pretty major vehicle for upward mobility for California students. A labor union is essentially a workers' organization. Workers are employees. In America or in the U.S., workers have the right to unionize, to fight for better rights, better pay, actual contracts, benefits, and things like that. So in the CSU system, there are about 16 official labor unions, and I work for the largest one, which is the faculty union, of course, because it's a university. So, there's a lot more faculty than other, employees on campus. My organization serves about 29,000 professors, lecturers, counselors, librarians, and coaches. And my internship, my program that I run, I'm over the state, Southern California. Have about 11 campuses right now, where I just pretty much recruit, train, mentor, and supervise student activists, in their goals to, make changes on campus.
Okay, cool. So I didn't know faculty had a union as well, but what would a faculty union do for professors and lecturers per se? What does that look like? What do they need?
Well, in the CSU system, faculty, professors, and lecturers aren't really paid very well, especially compared to the University of California system, which is the upper tier public education system in California. And a lot of the lecturers and faculty aren't even paid better than the California community college system. Not only that, in recent years, the CSU system has been hiring a lot less full professors, and they've been going with like part-time lecturers that have essentially less rights and way less pay. Um, and not very much career stability. So, the union would, be advocating for higher pay and more career stability, and defending against disciplinary stuff, that oftentimes is unfair in a workplace, which I think most people who have had jobs have experience with. um, and CF, ooh, well, my organization is has a very strong anti-racism and social justice um, stance. A lot of our leadership is Black. Again, they have a Black man running a statewide student internship program, student organization. Um, and, that's really important because in the CSU system, white people are now the minority of students in the CSU system, right? So, in order to better serve, Black students and Hispanic students and Asian students, and you actually have to have a strong anti-racism program going on.
Thank you for breaking that down for us, because not everybody knows what that is. Not everybody has gone to college that's going to watch this, to understand what faculty labor unions are. CSU system. Okay, cool. So you also mentioned empowering students to become student activists. Why does that matter to you? And why is that necessary?
That's a kind of a hard question. Well, it matters to me because I was a student activist myself, a student organizer. I was pretty involved at San Jose State. Um, I helped to co-organize and co-lead a pretty a highly successful student movement that we pretty much achieved all of our goals. Um, we, I, as a student organizer, also while I was an intern for the same program that I run, we pretty much did everything that a student, activist would, you know, set out to do. We stopped student fees from being raised. We actually got a student fee rollback, which never happens ever. We stopped them from dismantling our African American Studies department, which had been under attack for at least a decade before I got there. We fought for the establishment of a Black Student Resource Center. We we helped to mobilize and inspire Black faculty and staff to proactively serve students. um, we established the precedent of non-student government, students being able to meet with high-level administrators like the provost and president. So these are all things that I did. I really found myself, who I am, being a student activist and student organizer, with a very strong, black power, foundation, and now I essentially again recruit, mentor, train, and supervise not just one campus now, 10 campuses, and technically our program covers 23 campuses, so I'm kind of just following along from the skills that I've developed. I've turned the skills that I've developed and my experience into a career field. And, organizing is actually a career field, especially being a labor organizer. It is a very robust, strong career field that's always hiring, and it's so important, to our society.
That was the point I was trying to get at, okay? Like a lot of times who we are, it doesn't change that much. Our desires, our passions, our dreams, it doesn't, we go through things in life, but what we want to accomplish, I feel like it pretty much stays the same. You said you're 30 years old now. Me and Gary met at the same university we attended. San Jose State University is in San Jose, California, up north. It's a pretty affluent city as well. It's costly, really expensive to live up there, but it's also um It's in a really like what is it called? Profitable tech bubble space.
Silicon
Um,
Valley.
yeah, just Silicon Valley, and I think just being up there, like you definitely feel like you are like a part of the world changing and like shifting and like things being different. Anyways, how old were you when you became the AS Associated Students president for San Jose State University?
Yeah, I was actually president of Associated Students, which is the student government, the official representative of students in the CSU system on each of the campuses. I was AS president at the same time that I was elected to serve on the national governing board of my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha. So, you know, a lot of people don't know that, but I always tie those two together because I don't think a lot of people have done that. But I've seen a lot of people try to get elected to both, but I actually did it. That happened in the spring of 2014. So I was 21, turning 22.
That's a big deal, and that's a very bold deal to make. I know men get weirded out with the whole astrology thing, but Gary's a Leo. Oh, Barack Obama's a Leo. Barack Obama's a Leo. Hold up, Nipsey Hussle's a Leo. Okay, Maxine Waters is a Leo. Okay, very powerful, influential people who are very like involved in their community. So when I think about those people, I think about people like you too, Gary. So being 21, 22, what gave you the confidence to go out and I guess like put yourself out there for these roles?
Well, it was Alpha. It was the first thing that I did when I was even going through the visitations and orientation was to seek out uh, Alpha specifically, but to check out the other D9 organizations. Um, when I got to San Jose State, um, the brothers that were on campus, my brothers now, 12 years later, um, they were very impressive. They were representing, at least outwardly, for sure, 100%, what I thought an alpha was supposed to be, and then they also showed me a lot of brotherhood. But as I was coming into the organization, they were very clearly telling me, because I was a freshman, they were very clearly telling me that I was the future of the organization. So, I presented big dreams to them and they, welcomed and helped facilitate those dreams. And then, during my time, as an alpha, a neophyte, I, became known around campus and, joined more organizations. And I just kept finding myself in various leadership positions. Um, San Jose State was also pretty much going through a crisis. The campus today looks completely different than what it looked like in the fall of 2010 when I arrived. So I was put into leadership positions while there were crises going on, while I'm also having people pour into me confidence and advice. And then I started, meeting older Black staff, around campus that would give me, the real info about what's going on and telling us about how all the things, the bad things that have been happening to Black students was intentional. So I took that, as an offense. I felt like if my community is under attack, if my community is under attack, then that means I have to fight back. And because I was placed in all these different leadership roles and leadership positions, I kind of, as the movement happened, um, I kind of just was also one of the leaders as well. Did that answer the question?
Yes, it did. And I brought up the Leo aspect because Leos are known for being courageous, very protective people. So in times of uncertainty and chaos, most people, I believe, like they fold. They don't know. They go under other people. Like, what gave you the gumption to be like, I'm a boss up. I'm gonna take that alpha leader approach and be that person to make a difference. That's really why I asked that question though, because not everybody has that in them. But another thing that came to mind was before you even got to college campus, who were you looking up um, to give you that courage and bravery?
I don't really think that I was all that political before I got to college and started taking, political science classes and history classes and African American studies classes, which really activated me. But I do distinctly remember, thinking that if I were to find alpha specifically, I would get the same training that enabled famous alpha brothers like Martin Luther King and Thurgood Marshall and W.E.B. Du Bois and just the various alpha, outstanding alpha leaders that were, produced during the civil rights movement, and before that, So I don't necessarily know when that happened, but I figured, there's this organization that is providing this training and this network and this brotherhood. And once I got that training, I'm on the same level, in some sense, you know.
No, thank you for sharing that because not everybody knows how to strategize like that. That's considered like to me that's a strategy. If you're a freshman, I don't have the experience. I'm not politically astute as I would like to be to have these conversations. Let me put myself in this position, in this environment to be immersed by people who are that way already. So then I can become by them by association. That's being able to think far into advance. Everybody can't do that. When did you know that you were special? When did you discover that you were different from your peers?
People were just telling me. Again, my journey at San Jose State was not really about academics. It was about self-actualization. I really went to San Jose State to become who I am and, take over the campus and get some achievements and some accomplishments. But the entire time people were pouring into me. So I would just say, honestly, probably there was some night where one of my future brothers was telling me, "Wow, Gary, you may be the future of the chapter." And those conversations just continue to happen over and over and over again. And after a certain point, you're not going to deny what other people are saying. I'm going to remain humble and try to do the best I can. But I do, you know think that I'm here for a reason, I suppose.
You are. Don't be foolish. Don't be silly now. Okay. You're from LA. You said you were born in Long Beach. So what was it like for you growing up in LA?
Um, well, my childhood, I wouldn't say I had the typical LA childhood where people are dodging and weaving gangs, going to parties and stuff like that. My childhood was pretty much you know, uh pretty much dominated by domestic violence, that I witnessed. And honestly, like PTSD, memory loss, is very real. I tell people there's literally so much of my childhood that I don't remember that people talk to me about. I'm like, I don't even remember that because all I can think about is all the trauma and the crazy things that I witnessed from my alcoholic mother and her abusive boyfriend. Um, and then I actually dropped out of middle school in eighth grade. And then I dropped out of ninth grade at Dorsey. Um, I was, my childhood pretty much from like the age of 11 to 17, 18, was pretty much depression and dropping out of school and acting out and, getting kicked out of schools and being suspended and trying to fight off a 6 foot, 200-pound man when you're 11 years old, to stop him from beating my mom. So that's the type of thing that, that is what it was like for me growing up personally, yeah.
What was okay? So I'm not a man, I'm not a black man, I'm not a boy, right? So J. Cole talked about his experience like that, kind of similar. Just me just trying to draw a connection there. About how, his mother was on she was a heroin addict or some I don't mean to put nothing that his mother wasn't on his mother, but she struggled with addiction, right? She had this man she was dating, his stepfather. He was beating his mama, keeping her on drugs, right? Right? So he talked about him wanting to fight his stepfather off, but he was a little boy, so he couldn't do nothing. So he felt like he couldn't save his mama, right? So he felt a lot of guilt for that. What was it like for you as a little boy, um, having to like see your mother go through those type of conditions?
Well, um,
Especially when you know you physically cannot do for her as you were able to, you couldn't now,
I
right?
can't, necessarily point to any one experience, because there was just so much that happened there. So I can't really point to one experience as a kid because there was so much that happened there, But there was, one experience when I was actually in college, in 2016, where they went to, I think, Costa Rica or the Dominican Republic, and he got arrested for beating her so bad that her basically whole face was black. And I remember crying for a week straight, and I didn't speak for 3 months. And that was, a very pivotal moment for me. Um, you know, because when I was in college, I hadn't really gone back. Like I went to college in the fall of 2010, and I pretty much stayed in San Jose until 2017. I didn't want to go back, but in 2016, I was getting ready to move back, and to see my mother like that, who took care of me my entire life and also supported me in college, as well, to be done so badly, that's when it was like somewhere between like fade on site and kill on site anytime I was there, so pretty much once I moved back and he realized I moved back, he knew to never come around again after that, because yeah, I'll just leave that there.
Oh, yeah, my godfather was a Leo. Rest in peace. I ain't gotta know nothing else about them. They don't play when you take them there. With that being said, though, I think I shared a little bit about like my personal experience with domestic violence. Yeah, just as a young woman, kind of just I seen my mother kind of get her hands. I mean, get people put her hands on her growing up too. So for me growing up though, like when I got in my situation, I never, you know what? For the longest time, I denied that he was abusive or controlling because I was like, not me. Like, I would never be in this. Like, I'm tough. Nobody gets over on Kamerie. But I also ended up becoming an abuser as well, physically, emotionally. Did you ever think about how, like, what you saw growing up, how that might, like, affect you in relationships? Whether you were, like, taking abuse from a woman or, like, inflicting abuse on somebody else. Like, did you ever think about that being a problem?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely two sides to that. The main thing, the most primary important thing is that I would never in my ever life like hit a woman. Basically, I just can't even like imagine like raising my fist at a woman, especially, what happened to my mom. Especially with what happened to my mom in 2016, I could never like use like do a physical strike against a woman. Like that, it just doesn't, I can't do that. The other side is that I normalize, abuse from women, physical abuse. I haven't always been the best boyfriend, but, you know, I've been on the receiving end of physical violence from girlfriends, but I've never been, the physical aggressor, But that's not to say that I was in the right though. But I definitely, normalized and, accepted that, there would be some level of violence in relationships, Um, I didn't know to cut that off initially, like the first time, she puts your hands on you, you got to cut it off. In the same way, if she ever calls the cops on you, you're gonna have to cut it off because,
Or if she calls you a bitch, it's over. If she calls you a bitch, that means she don't have no
yeah,
respect for you. You might as well not even prolong that,
yeah.
Like it's over. It's over. It's over. And I just wanted to ask that and bring that up because, like, I don't know why, but like when you going through it, like if somebody's putting their hands on you, it's like for some reason we forget everything that we already learned from our parents' mistakes and we just throw it out the window. And like you said, I thought that cussing somebody out, socking somebody if they pissed me off, like shut the, just hocking them. Thought that was normal. And you date other people who are healthy who didn't have those experiences. They're like, what is wrong with you? I will leave you in a heartbeat if you ever threaten to put your hands on me, male and female, which is how it should be. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I struggle with that for sure. Just seeing my daddy just be so aggressive with my mama sometimes, just I thought that's how you're supposed to
Domestic
be,
violence is
you know?
nothing to play around with. Intimate partner
Nothing.
violence is really negative thing in the Black community, and I think we've normalized a lot of those, verbal things that you just said, telling your partner to shut the fuck up or calling people bitches and things like that. That is not how a healthy relationship should operate or ought to operate.
Gary, we talked about Baby Boy, John Singleton's Baby Boy, the movie, yesterday. And we were like, Baby Boy was so, like, it was good because it showed us, like, how dysfunctional our relationships were in the community. Like, literally, like, it was basically showing us that all you had to do was fuck your lady good to make up with her, Like, you saw, like,
I
Melvin.
watched
Remember
Baby
Melvin?
Boy.
Did you
I
watch
watched
Baby
Baby
Boy?
Boy. Come on.
No? Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, but just something to think about. Like, you're right. We need to like change the way we normalize how we treat
You,
each other in our relationships. Okay, go ahead.
Baby Boy is funny for me because I remember when I moved home, I didn't have a job and I was living with my mom and I was, trying to date women and I was like, and then I would watch Baby Boy and I'm like, God damn, is this me right now? Except I didn't have a kid, luckily enough. So, yeah.
No, you're not Baby Boy. Jody didn't even go to school. He wasn't AS president. He wasn't in no alpha elite collegiate organization. Like, no. But the thing with Jody is that where was his daddy at though? And how was his mother putting him in positions to prove to himself that he could be a man? Because it's not about her like telling him. He needs to be around other people to give him that and to show him that,
You
and so he
know,
can prove it to himself.
I
Anyways,
think,
okay. What?
I don't know what it's like to not have a dad, but there are so many things that I wish my dad had done, or wish would do right now. But, after a certain age, no one is responsible for you but you. I mean, we have mentors. I'm a mentor to many who make it their responsibility, you know, to, care about your future and your success, but you can't count on random people, helping you, a father's not a random person, but at the end of the day, it's up to you to make things happen.
So where was your father at though when your mother was going through this turmoil, this domestic violence? What was going on? Who did you
My
have around
dad
you?
was remarried a couple times, so he had his own thing going on. I love my dad very much. I just lived with him for 2 years. He's a very intelligent man. He has a PhD. I was a therapist, was a priest, community leader, nonprofit, head of a school. So my dad's a great person. Um, in terms of that, I have a gangster ass uncle, one of the OG gangbangers before the Crips and Bloods even started. And I was just with him, and he just simply didn't know. He simply didn't know. Once he found out what was going on, he went over there and knocked him out. But this is like after a decade and a half. He always thought the guy was a good guy. My uncle always thought the guy was a good guy. But there was some estrangement between my mom and her brother. But again, I love my uncle very much. And he said if he had known about it, he would have been got it done. And that's what I regret. Because my uncle is actually like that. My dad is not like that, and you got to accept people for who they are. So there was a protector around. The protector was just, kept, oblivious and kept away. So
She knew, but your mama knew though. She knew that. Nah, that's why she didn't call him. The same way I didn't call my father when I was going through what I went through. You know, people know, but it's like you're not ready to leave. You want to be binded to your poison or depression. Wow, I didn't know that, Gary. That's a big deal. But were you able to like talk to your uncle about like how like you felt like as a little boy, or like did you feel like talking to him or him doing that made you feel like better, like about everything, like about you, that that support there, like
well,
it was
I
always
just
there. You were never alone.
my uncle is into working out and bodybuilding. That he is 73 years old and works out harder than me at 30. He could outwork me in the gym. I was just with him. His partner of 35 years died recently, and I took him to the funeral, and I say with, my honest heart, I've never seen a man that hard cry that deeply. Literally one of the hardest men probably ever to exist. Speaking to his partner's family, this big Filipino family, folks flew out from the Philippines and all around, like her great grandkids and stuff were there, and he was the only person that spoke. He was a partner for 35 years, and my uncle, a hard man is an eloquent man. But anyway, I said all that to say that I was with him, and we talked a lot about things that happened, and all he said is that, damn, I thought he was a good guy, and he did what he had to do as soon as he found out, and I got so much love for my uncle, and he now wants to work out with me, now that he has some extra free time, but of course, after he's feeling emotionally recovered, but yeah, so me and my uncle are gonna be real close for the next few years, hopefully.
It's a good little story. I didn't know that about you. Uncle didn't came in and say today. That's right. And I think as Black women, as young women, we're able to move in the world differently when we know that we have men around us to like literally protect our lives if it ever came down to that. I think when you know you have protection, you just kind of you don't make certain poverty based decisions, you don't make certain desperate decisions. And I think just whatever your mom was going through, God rest her soul, like she had to figure things out, and at the time she did. The same way for me, my parents went through that. My mom didn't know what I was going through, but like God made it out that we got out of that situation. Your mother wasn't with him when she passed, was
No,
she?
no, not at all. My mom
Mm.
died in October 25th, 2020. He basically, never came. He tried to come back around a couple times when I moved back in 2017, but he knew I wasn't going. So, so she had about, 3 years of, um, at least that not happening.
That piece. Yes. Yes. Okay, Gary. I just want to get into this part of it though. Okay, for people who are gonna go to college, they graduate, they may not be seeing the results they were promised or that people told them they should see, right? Financially, getting a good job, getting a job in the industry. What was your experience like when you left, when you
My
finished college?
experience was not good. I had a really rough time. Um, I didn't step into my current position until 2019, and I walked the stage in 2015. Um, and I don't really want to get into this right now on this interview, but when I moved home in 2017, I had a pretty rough couple years, you know. But what helped me was that I knew that I wanted to work for this organization, and there was a specific position that I knew I wanted, and I would be looking for this position every month, every couple months, every semester, just to see if it's open. And then just a random day, I was working at APCH, and I was on Facebook, um, and I saw a person post that she was leaving the position. I didn't even know she was in the position, but she posted that she was leaving and to reach out to her if anybody wanted to apply. I didn't even reach out to her. I just applied and I quit my job the same day. Um, so it was still a risk and it took a very long time. The only thing that I think people would take from my story is that if you know what position or role that you want, there are probably a lot of those in different organizations, different companies, different nonprofits, different government organizations, and things like that. But you have to know, you know, what your skill set is and what you would like to do. I knew that I wanted to run the statewide student internship program of my organization, but I've also had other experiences, running statewide or regional organizations and BSUs for black students, specifically always, So I always knew, what my experience was, what my resume would get me, and I just stayed on it. For people who, might not necessarily know exactly what they want to do, I would just say that if you graduate with a degree, you can get a job. You can. You just have to really be intentional and proactive and really looking and really redevelop your resume and redevelop your cover letter and just stay at it. You will find something. Obviously it's easier if you work in a specialized field, like a communication specialist. Every organization has a communication specialist, right? Or if you major in accounting, you know every organization has accounting and finance, right? So certain you know career paths or majors, do have a direct pipeline. But at the end of the day, there are so many people working in roles, making a lot of money, that aren't necessarily, what they majored in college. You just have to really be intentional. Having a bachelor's degree for me is really a cheat code. There are people our age. I'm a little bit older than you, but there are people our age, making minimum wage. You know what I'm saying? Like straight minimum wage, And I work for a labor union, so there's nothing against, lower paid workers. But if you have a bachelor's degree, you can get something, contract, for 50, 60, 70,000 or, salary, if you have that degree. So
I know, definitely. But you have to look for it. You have to be ambitious, and I think it helps to like let people know around you like what you're after, so they can look out for you too. You don't have to struggle alone. I would have told myself that 2 years ago when I graduated. Okay, Gary. So cool, cool, cool. Talking about that. Okay. So what are your goals? What's your overall plan for your future right now? I know you sent me some pictures of you doing some organizing work. What's your aim overall?
I plan to go as high as I can go. I plan to be as great as I can be. I'm currently active in the labor movement. I'm currently active in the student movement, and I'm currently active in, the Black movement. So I'll just, my plan is to keep doing what I'm doing. Continue to take more responsibilities. Continue to develop new leaders. Continue to organize people. I may want to join, other different types of organizations. I may want to start new organizations. But for the most part, I care about Black people the most, but I also do care about people in general in the world, and I really just want to do, great. Yeah.
Okay, with that being said, though, what has been the biggest barrier to you getting what you want to get accomplished? What are you struggling with the most right now?
Right now, I'm not really struggling with anything. Right now, I feel like I'm the strongest I've ever been in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Um, I'm not really struggling with anything. I think that, once I got my role, it actually took me a year to learn the skills and develop the skills and apply those skills while also kind of working through a lot of the emotional and psychological baggage that preceded getting that job. But once I hit my stride, it's just been like an onward and upward march. So I'm not really struggling with anything right now too much. At that previous struggle.
No, that's real. So could it be that financial money was like the biggest probably roadblock for you before? Just getting
But
the money, being able to live comfortably, have your own space.
yeah, well, finances are definitely a roadblock, and making the amount of money right now and being able to live on my own, in a nice place, in a nice city, and have a nice car and things like that, those were definitely nice, but it was really the emotional and psychological roadblocks that really, was slowing me down for the first couple of years. But I've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. Um, and also, I really can't, underemphasize the physical, aspect to, your well-being. I'm currently fittest I've ever been, and I don't think it's a coincidence that I'm, as emotionally and psychologically and mentally, you know, strong as well.
Okay, but on speaking on the physical, we're not gonna act like you was not a whole different man physically before when I seen you. So it's funny, okay, so Gary, I've always seen you as like this powerful, like dynamic, this powerful black man, that I knew me personally being strong minded too. I knew I couldn't just come to you any kind of way, right? So even when you were like a skinny, like slimmer man, like I saw that. So it was interesting to see you embark on this physical journey of like fitness and exercise and go from like that physique to like a more, what would you call, like muscular, like more like filling out maybe your suits a little bit differently, filling out your clothes, like what has that done for your mental well-being, being able to transform your body as a man?
Yeah, so I physically completely recomposed my body. When you knew me, I was 130 pounds. I'm currently almost 190. Mostly muscle with a very healthy layer of fat. I'm not super pressed, to lose any fat. I just want to gain as much strength and weight as possible. People treat you different when you're muscular. Um, you also move different in the world when you're muscular. Um, Again, when you're healthy and doing cardio and eating well and taking your supplements and you're a sharper person. Um, it was also very important for organizing. People would rather follow someone who was physically fit, and active, and versus someone that almost looks sickly, someone that needs like they need a meal. I like when you look like you can lead someone, people are more willing to follow you. And also, just as a man, you have to be able to defend yourself. And then if you want to have a family, you absolutely have to be able to defend your family, and not even just with your hands, but also with weapons. I have, plenty of weapons, in addition to my muscles to defend, my sisters and my nieces and nephew and, even my parents, well, my dad and my stepmom. So, you know, um, being physically fit has done a lot. It's been a long journey, but, you know, I think that lifting heavy weights like is pretty much unparalleled for understanding what your body can do, what your capabilities are. 100%. You really get in tune with you when you're under that bar struggling. I'll tell you that.
When you're under that bar struggling, no, I gotta get up in the gym, man. I'm too skinny. I need some muscle. You see my arm?
You can get a
I need
workout
some
in, I
muscle.
told you.
Okay. So with this transformation though, your body done transformed, your money, your pockets is transforming, right? How has the dating scene been like for you? When it comes to like male and female relationships. I feel like we always had our little differences. So what has it been like for you? Are you getting like more like attractive women that are on your level? What has it been like?
What has the dating scene been like for me? I just got out of about a 2 year relationship. Before that, I was in another 2 year relationship. Um, and then before that, in my college years, was in a 6 year relationship. So I've had about three serious relationships in my life. I do think that I have gotten more attention from women, especially lately. Women have been kind of acting out. I don't know what's in the air. I guess I can't really walk around with short shorts, 5-inch shorts, and tank top, when it's sunny out, because I guess y'all get out of pocket. It's been interesting. I feel like because I present in a certain way, because I've done what I've done, also because I'm attractive even without the muscles. I think I've always had very deep, intelligent, charismatic women be attracted to me. But I just think that that's only increased. You know, with I guess my physical improvements. But I'm in an interesting space right now. I went on a couple dates recently, and I think I'm more in a place where I don't really need to focus on women unless someone is presenting something deep for me, and hasn't really been like that in the dates that I've gone on since me and my last relationship ended. So that answers your question.
No, because a lot of men say that though. Y'all be like, "Oh, I want somebody who's like deep. They don't just talk about themselves." What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? What are you saying is missing? Like in plain words, what's really missing? You want somebody to like really be into you more than they're into themselves,
I'm
basically.
not saying anything is missing. And I'm definitely not asking for someone to make me the center of their world. I'm just you know, I just think that, someone being attractive or having some chemistry, you know, it's cool, but three relationships, serious relationships and, you know, I can't necessarily say what's missing, but I think I'll know when I find it. But I don't really think I need to be going out and trying to find that personally, especially that I'm about to start a master's while working full time, which is going to be super fun. So I guess I'll see what happens, but wouldn't say anything super negative though. It's been going on.
I get you. I think the more you boss up, the more resources you attain. Go for women younger than you. Go for women that are, you know, not trying to outdo you. I feel like you'll be in a better predicament. I like men older than me. So, just find out what works for you. All right then, Gary. With everything you've learned though, all the wisdom you've attained, what would you tell the younger Gary?
What would I tell the younger Gary? Um, hmm, I don't know. What would I tell the younger Gary? Pay attention in school. Um, do your homework. Lift weights. Um, don't pay too much attention to girls. It's kind of hard to give my younger self certain advice because I'm very, very, very happy with where I'm at right now. So I kind of, I actually really appreciate all the character development that's happened. Like I think it's made me who I am, and it's gonna, set the stage for who I'm going to be. So I can't even necessarily say that I would want, anything to have gone any differently. I mean, it would have been, nice to not see my mom get beat up every day as a kid. But besides that, I mean, besides that, I think my development, was meant to be. So
I mean, the younger Gary could be like another young boy in South LA whose mother's getting abused. Like, so you're right, lifting the weights, you know. If you got an uncle who a gangster ass uncle, hit him up because he just might be able to, all that stuff. You don't have to suffer alone. There's people out there who love you, who want to help you. Absolutely. All right, then, Gary, last question for you. We've been talking about some pretty good stuff. I'm learning a lot about you too, just having this conversation. What do you want to see more of in the world?
I want to see Black people, specifically Black Americans, working together and seeing them as all wings of the same direction, as opposed to us always thinking that some organization is trying to cheat us or lead us astray or rob us, left wing, right wing, socialism, communism, Pan Africanism, Black nationalism. I just feel like all of these things have a role to play in what we need to do as Black people in this country specifically, because I don't live anywhere else. So, what happens here is what's most important to me. But I definitely care about, Black people all over the world. But just, I don't know. I think for just all of us, we just should not be so distrustful, at least of the people that are trying. There are grifters, there are shisty people, there are people out to manipulate, and when we find them, we got to do what we got to do. But, you know, just, I don't think a disagreement on, a policy issue or, a particular ideology should make us enemies. We should still, be seeing all of us together as comrades because we're really going to need all of us, moving towards one direction in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully, I see that in my lifetime. I know that that's what I'm going to be intentionally working on, for the rest of my life. I mean, you say, what am I going to be doing? That's what I would like to get, going or help facilitate because I know work is always being done on anything we talk about with Black people. We always act like, some issue, has never been, talked about and, attacked, but there's always somebody working and, we got to tap in with those folks already working on these things.